AAA gaming has officially lost the plot. While Todd Howard tries to sell you a $70 sedative disguised as a space explorer, and EA continues to deliver the exact same product for the 27th consecutive year, the industry has forgotten how to make something unique. Everything is sanded down. Every game is calculated to cause the least amount of disturbance to ensure the player never has to step outside of their comfort zone. Yet, D-Cell Games rejects this idea completely. Unbeatable is their magnum opus. This game is a high-speed, unapologetic, hand-drawn projectile aimed directly at the prefrontal cortex of that bigger is better philosophy. I'm not making this video to glaze an indie studio claiming they are better than millions of dollars in research and development. That would just be a blatant lie. Instead, I'm performing a forensic autopsy because a project this unhinged shouldn't survive. Table, balcony, top off, on, top of hideout, upstairs table. It ignores the rules of marketability, burns 7 years of development on flourishes that would have been deleted in any corporate boardroom, and gambles $200,000 in Kickstarter funds on the belief that messy is better than perfect. By using these 4 pillars that hold Unbeatable up, I'll show you exactly why this is a game that you have to experience. The world of Unbeatable is a Tokyo-styled metropolis where any form of music is completely and utterly banned. Humming, singing, whistling, or even just forbidden. In this world, it isn't just a band for the sake of being edgy. Music is a literal trigger for a metaphysical phenomenon known as the silence. These spiky rabbits manifest in 8 distinct rhythmic forms, ranging from single to spike to spam. They function as dangerous and hostile ghosts that are drawn towards any source of musical resonance like a moth to a flame. So to protect society, Harm enforces something I guess you could call a slight amount of aggression towards evildoers. They patrol the streets with military-grade drones and armored vehicles to ensure the city remains functionally dead inside. And if they catch anyone in the act, it's straight to capital punishment. It is a state-mandated emotional lobotomy, where the preservation of reality requires a total suppression of any externalized feeling. Now, in your traditional development cycle, a premise this volatile will be incentivized towards safety, likely resulting in Harm becoming a generic evil empire with towers to climb. Instead, D-Cell Games leaned into the madness by embracing an anime-style episodic structure sliced into 6 easy-to-follow chapters. And in doing so, it gives a player room to breathe. By segmenting this narrative, the world building unfolds gradually, holding its cards close to its chest so you experience the confusion alongside the characters, rather than having the lore dumped on your head all at once. It's a mix of a bizarre, logic-defying world trapped inside of a familiar frame of an anime episode. But what separates Unbeatable from its peers is a refusal to lean on the power of friendship trope as a magical plot-resolving shortcut. Here, friendship isn't magic, it's a The writing avoids polished, idealized tropes that you would expect, opting instead for a script that feels remarkably grounded and, at times, uncomfortably authentic.
Sure, I was near the building, but it was unmarked, and I wasn't warned. I know my rights. You don't have rights!
But that's all thanks to the group dynamic of the protagonists. Starting off with Beat, who's the main character, she has an incredibly snarky attitude while being both compassionate and truthful. Quaver is a precocious child acting as the group's only functioning frontal lobe, whilst hiding her anxieties behind forced optimism. Clef is a loudmouth who treats casual conversation like a fight to the death, fueled by her stubbornness and a short temper. And Treble, who's the brother of Clef, is the definition of a chill guy. He's a handicapped keyboardist who speaks exclusively in lowercase and functions as the group's only dependable person. But contrary to what you would expect, these characters don't talk like their archetypes. They talk like a proper friend group. There's no anime friendship slop, none of these over-rehearsed speeches about believing in each other while holding hands. Instead, the dialogue is salted with history. It's the sound of people who have known each other for so long to the point where they feel comfortable saying whatever comes to mind.
It's like if you have huge boobs and you try to look at your feet, can't see your feet. And the building is like the boobs. So we could be the feet.
Huh? In fact, one of my favorite examples of this happens right after the prison break. Hum just tried to murder you and you barely escaped by crawling through raw sewage. You're covered in filth, shivering and exhausted. And in any other game, this would probably be a high stakes cutscene, but here, Clef just complains she's hungry.
Can't believe we're alive.
We won't be if we don't eat something soon.
Treble asks Quaver where they are.
Where are we, Quaver?
I think we're pretty close to where the next train stop was.
And Quaver is insulted for the crime of guessing.
Whatever, what do you know this shit? How do you know this shit? You're 11.
I'm 12 and a half.
These types of stupid small exchanges are completely irrelevant to the plot and, if anything, it sort of diminishes from the weight of the situation. Yet it's exactly that sort of writing that makes it stand out.
You're proposing we do terrorism.
Is it terrorism?
Yes.
Then, yes. Lots of it, too.
Alright, shit. I'm in.
This unnecessary comedy, along with the amazing voice acting, really makes these characters feel alive. In a massive AAA production, these moments would be seen as unnecessary minor squabbles that distract from the primary story arc. They would be smoothed over with a cinematic shortcut to keep the player focused on the next objective, but D-Cell lets this moment play on, sacrificing time to understand the individuals for just group comedy. But Unbeatable doesn't only have a down-to-earth script going for it. In fact, it has something much better. This is a style critics call a living sketchbook, but honestly, it's more like animated cornea crack. Every character in this game is quite literally all hand-drawn. For a team of roughly 30 devs, hand-drawing 2D characters at this level of exaggeration is a logistical nightmare. In an industry where efficiency is king, studios use 3D models and motion capture because they are repeatable and safe for business. They avoid hand-drawn 2D because you can't just tweak a slider to fix a mistake. You would have to redraw the entire damn thing. Yet D-Cell completely ignored that entire playbook, choosing a 2.5D perspective where the flat characters feel like they're in a constant state of protest against the rigid, stagnant world. They even 2D animate in places that are completely unnecessary. Take a look at the subtle reflection on the glass in this scene with Quaver.
Hey, have you ever noticed how these are basically just funhouse mirrors? Look. Nah. See?
D-Cell didn't need to animate that depth. Nobody would have complained if it was just a simple shot without that reflection, but the extra mile is exactly why it lands. And this isn't just an outlier, you can find it everywhere in the story. Even the UI refuses to be clean. It's loud, graphic, and draws stylistic blood from Persona 5 in the way that menus feel like extensions of the protagonist's soul. Yet, visuals are only half the battle. The other half goes to the music. And instead of licensing safe, radio-friendly hits, D-Cell used their internal team, Peak Divide, to build a curated ecosystem of sound. Some of these songs range from mundane low-key tracks to jaw-dropping boss music to probably the hardest prison song I've ever heard. Yo, what the heck? Oh my god! This slaps, bro! The standard industry play is to mitigate risk by licensing safe, radio-friendly music, making the choice to anchor an entire project to a niche team developing a genre-warping playlist of breakcore and rock just feel like a radical outlier. It's too unpredictable for a traditional pipeline, but because D-Cell took that risk, the music provides the order necessary to weaponize the visual noise. Honestly, if I was to go more in depth into the music, this video would probably reach an hour long. There is so much content to cover that I would just never be able to do it justice. And it's that massive overcommitment to the artwork that really just makes it brilliant. But it is also fundamentally irresponsible, which leads us to the hard truth. This game is not a replicable model. If a student came to me and said they wanted to make a game like this, I would tell them to stop. This project is a logistical catastrophe, a recipe for bankruptcy that ignores every modern market trend. Most studios are right to avoid this, but that is exactly why it matters. In a world where every game is a safe return on investment, Unbeatable is a literal glitch in the matrix. It is a fluke that exists only because a group of people were stubborn enough to ignore the industry standards and chase a fever dream. However, that stubbornness does leave a few obvious marks. Let's be real, the game is not perfect. There is a genuine lurch in the pacing, a massive discrepancy between high-octane arcade action and spending 45 minutes as an unpaid therapist for NPCs. It's not the greatest use of your time, and you'll find bugs. What's she doing? You'll have to put effort into doing side quests, and you'll navigate transitions that feel jagged and unpolished.
I think I'm ready to go if you are.
That's it. But where the game stumbles, it also picks itself back up. I personally see these rough edges as just tests of values. In an industry where mistakes like these are sanded down until the game feels like IKEA furniture, Unbeatable ends up looking like a 12th century Gothic building. Those flaws, the random bugs, the inconsistent voice acting, audio randomly cutting, they're all marks that prove this wasn't made by an algorithm. If D-Cell fixed these issues to keep your engagement metrics high, the game would be objectively better, I'll definitely grant you that. But there is a specific rare beauty in seeing the mistakes people make chasing a creative ambition despite every single corporate incentive telling them to stop. So in the end, I'd rather play a game that stumbles a few times over its own massive ambition than one that never decided to run in the first place. But look, I'm gonna be honest with you. Most people won't finish this game. They'll bounce off the jagged pacing or get frustrated by the unpolished transitions, and they'll go back to a game that respects their time with a predictable outcome because they've played it so many times. And that is the real reason games like Unbeatable are so rare. We claim that we want different, but we usually punish it the second it creates actual friction. Instead, we reward the safe sequels with our pre-orders because they don't demand anything uncomfortable from us. But if you end up deciding to play Unbeatable, don't expect it to be easy or efficient. It will ask you to put effort into liking people and enduring long, awkward silences. It is a total uncompromising rejection of the industry's status quo. It's loud, it's messy, and it's right there waiting for you.